I am Robin Spurley with J20 News here with the Manager of Content Services, Mr. Jason LaRose. So one question we have is, on a global scale, what does the World Junior A Hockey Challenge mean to Canada?
You know what? It means a lot more specifically to the junior A leagues in Canada. I mean, it's this is the ninth year of the tournament now, and it's a great opportunity for these players to get that international experience and to see what it's like to play against the best players from other parts of the world. But even more than that, it's a chance for those players to get that best on best experience against those players and get to showcase those skills to the scouts, NHL scouts, college scouts. This is one of our best attended tournaments, just because a lot of these players, you don't get this exposure, you don't get this opportunity. So we've seen over the 8 years that this has been, and now going into the ninth, that the number of scouts that we have from different levels of the game grows every year. So it's a huge opportunity for the players to be able to get that experience.
Why do you think the tournament has become so popular?
I think you get to uncover those diamonds in the rough. We talked about that a couple of years ago, actually, when we were out west again for this event, and everybody knows who Kyle Turris was. Everybody knew who Jaden Schwartz was. Everybody knew who Joe Colburn was. Those were guys. Hey, they had great tournaments. Turris was an MVP. Colburn won a gold medal, same as Turris did. But it's those guys that are picked in the later rounds that. Scott Wilson just got called up by the Pittsburgh Penguins this week, and Scott was a 7th-round draft pick, played for this event in, I want to say, 2010 when we were in Penticton, I believe. So it's those kind of guys that get the scouts excited, and for the fans, to this event's getting so big because they hear about those players that come year after year. And I was doing some research the other night for a web feature that we're doing. It's 25 first-round draft picks that played in this tournament in the first 8 years. So, fans know that they're going to get the best young hockey players in the world at that event.
Wow, that's amazing. Did anyone think when they first created this tournament that it would become as popular as it is now?
I don't think so. I think it was always, adding a new event. And for me, I wasn't part of the process leading up to it. I actually started with Hockey Canada 3 months before that event was held. That was actually the first event I ever worked, was the first ever World Junior A Challenge. So I kind of came in late in the process, and it was, those early years, it's trial by error, right? You're never sure what's going to work. We've added selection camps for the Canadian teams. We used to have summer camps to get a look at those guys. Now we don't have those anymore. We just have the selection camps. We used to have a quota on there needed to be a certain number of players from each league on the rosters. Now it's just a certain number of those players have to be invited to the selection camp. So, I think what they thought it was going to be at the beginning obviously is a lot different than what it is now. But, I know from talking to our Hockey Canada people at the CJHL and the communities that have hosted it, they're thrilled with the event.
Alrighty. Are there any more plans of adding more teams to this tournament?
I don't think so. I think six is a good number. To have sort of a shorter round robin, have it housed in only one venue. If you expand it to more arenas, to more communities, expand it to more teams, you're going to bring those extra communities in. I personally, I like the kind of, I don't want to say small town feel, but that's sort of what it is, right? It's an intimate 6 teams, these best players, and I know they're very happy with that number.
So why do you think there's an advantage of having a game in a small town? Like having a game as big as this in a small town like Unity?
I think absolutely it is. To give those communities. Last year we were in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia, for this tournament, and Yarmouth itself isn't that big. But we were in Digby, Nova Scotia, and Barrington, Nova Scotia for exhibition games. And the first year this tournament was held in Saskatchewan. I know there was games in Melfort, there was games in Weyburn, there was games in Nipawin. It's to be able to share the event with the surrounding communities and make them feel part of it. And let's be honest, those small communities don't get international hockey every day. So to be able to take it to those smaller communities and give them a taste of that and make them feel part of the event, that's a big thing for us.
How do you think the towns benefit from hosting games in small communities?
I think it's just the attention it gives, the minor hockey associations in town. They always play a big part of the game. It gives them that extra little rub and that extra little bit of attention. It's I know I couldn't speak exactly on what it brings financially to the towns, but certainly with ticket sales and things like that, there's things involved there. So there's really not a whole lot of drawbacks to having the games there. So to have the small towns involved and to be able to give back to them a little bit, that's a great thing.
How do towns get the chance to host an international game?
Personally, I don't know how well I can speak to that. That's more of the event side and how it's decided there. But I do know that when the community is given the event, so in this case Kindersley, there is talk with the people in Kindersley. Hey, if we have exhibition games, what would be the communities around that would be able to do it and would support it?
All right. Why are games only hosted in Canada? Why don't we go to Russia and host them?
It's a Hockey Canada event. It's not an international ice hockey event. This is something that Hockey Canada does in partnership with the Canadian Junior Hockey League to give our players that exposure and to be able to bring these events to towns, big and small, from Summerside to Penticton to Langley, just outside Vancouver, and now to Kindersley. It's great for the players and it's great for the communities to be able to share that hockey.
Why do you think this tournament is so important to the Junior A League in Canada?
I think it's the same thing I talked about before. I think it's the exposure. It's getting those players not only the chance to wear the maple leaf, which is such a big thing for those players, but the chance to get seen, the chance to get to be able to get a college scholarship and maybe even get drafted. I believe I read somewhere the CJHL, between the NCAA and CIS, there's over 2,000 graduates of those leagues that are playing college and CIS hockey. And if the World Junior A Challenge can help bump a player up and get a better scholarship offer, and who knows where they go from there. Players like I'm trying to think of Cam Talbot, for example, who's playing with the New York Rangers right now, one of their goaltenders. Cam wasn't drafted. Cam was basically played in the first tournament, and personally, I don't know how much effect that had on him getting the scholarship, and then moving on from there to getting signed by the Rangers, and now playing in the NHL.
So speaking of the NHL, what players have participated in this tournament and have gone to the NHL?
We did a story at the beginning of this year, and I'm drawing a blank on the number right now. I want to say it's somewhere between 20 and 25 players who played in this tournament, who started the year on NHL rosters. There's obviously some injured players in there, but guys, like I mentioned, like Turris, Joel Colburn, Jaden Schwartz, Vladimir Tarasenko in St. Louis played in the event. Cam Talbot with the Rangers, like I mentioned, Brendan Smith with the Red Wings. So. There's quite a few that have gone on, both Canadian and international, obviously, as well, to play in the NHL. So yeah, I believe we're somewhere between 20 and 25 that are on rosters to start this season, and obviously other guys getting called up through the year.
Wow, that's amazing. Who do you see in this tournament now that could benefit the NHL in the future?
It's tough to say. We're just starting to get the rosters in for the event. The Canadian players obviously are just in camp right now, so I'm not sure I could name any particular players. I'm not, I don't follow the Junior A leagues as closely as I know we're working with NHL scouting on players to watch, and we've worked with international scouting services in the past. So I kind of leave the prognosticating to them as to who they think are going to be the big stars. So we'll have a better idea here this week once those Canadian rosters are named.
Alrighty. Thank you so much, Mr. LaRose. I would love to shake your hand, but obviously we can't do that through a computer. So I will talk to you later at the game, and I would like to ask everyone to stay posted in our blog for future interviews and other information. Thank you so much.
Thank you.